Okay, so welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. This is Cesar Trabanco from the Global Chamber, and this is our League of Opportunities Part 2 for November. We had one last night, and it was pretty cool. So I look forward to hearing from our members today. The idea of the League of Opportunities, besides giving the members some exposure and finding connections for them, is just to enlighten us with information, what's going on out there. And I would like to start with new members. Go Global. I see Stuart Robertson is here, and I know Vincent is joining him as well. Stuart is going to be talking a bit about HR, global HR opportunities, how the industry is moving towards 2025, and what new trends are out there, and of course, letting us know about a little bit about their firm. So welcome, Stuart. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Cesar. Let me just try and share my screen. Let's click on the share button. Hopefully you now have my screen up there. You can see a lovely lady who's talking to one of my colleagues there. So really appreciate the opportunity to talk. As Cesar said, yeah, we're a new member to the organization, literally just been in the community now for a couple of months. So invited to spend about 5 minutes just giving you a background on kind of global hiring HR trends that we've seen in 2024. Bit of an insight into how that might flow in our how we see it flowing into 2025, and then kind of what we do to help companies that are on their journey into the international expansion journey as well. So any questions as we go through, feel free to ask. Happy to take questions. I think generally we save those to the end, do we, Cesar?
That's right. So once you finish, we can take a couple of questions and comments from the members here.
Amazing. All right, so bear with me because that's the brief. This is the slide deck. Okay, all right, so this is the best image that I could find it in short notice for this session. So look, I think we're all aware that going back a couple of years, COVID was the big thing. It drove everybody to working from home. We then saw, as we came out the back of COVID, the Great Resignation and the impact that had on workforces, big increase in cost for companies, as well as people were able to command better wages as they walked into new organizations as well. But since then, the economy has changed quite a lot, and I think when I listen to this audience, probably looking to put valuations against your organization impacts HR massively, because now, whereas the 10x valuation was probably the sexy thing for SaaS organizations, I think the new sexy is profit and profitability into organizations, and clearly that has an impact on HR and hiring strategies behind that. So investors are now going to be more cautious. They're more diligent in the types of workers that are there within companies, and the impact that might have, that if they get something wrong, where fines might come out as well for there as well. So it's had an impact in around the world of IPO and IPO readiness and those side of things as well. So what we've seen over the course of 2024 is that as companies search for profitability, they're maybe looking away from areas that have higher labor costs. And indeed, employment rates have really slowed down where these high labor costs exists. Looking at the data for where unemployment rates actually are, places like China and India are now got more people employed than they forecast that they would have at this stage of the year, but some of the major economies are way behind that. So I think the global unemployment rate is standing at just about 5% at the minute. It was at 4.9% last year. But what we're seeing is a driver into places like China, India, Africa, Asia Pacific. So people are starting to look at emerging markets where the talent actually is, but maybe not where their head office and location might be as well. And clearly the Middle East still remains attractive, and that's because there are incentives to go and work in to those regions as well. We've seen a real shift away from the desire for 100% remote working as well, and hybrid is probably the way that people are looking at things. I don't think that there are many companies that truly believe that 100% back to the office work is going to be the right way. Indeed, we've seen fights against that, I think, in most of the big companies about actually doing so, despite the strong arming to get people back in there as well. We're not going to get through a call without talking about AI as well. So AI clearly has an impact here as well. So what we're seeing is roles being supplemented by AI at the minute as well. So a lot of reduction where maybe as the next generation of workers come through and don't want to be doing the manual, the mundane activity, to use AI to automate those kind of things as well. So we're seeing a change in the roles and the jobs that are out there as well. So basically companies are looking to be profitable, to invest smartly, to look into the right areas around the world, to reduce their risk profile, to increase the valuation of their company, to extort the best valuation for their company, and that has a big impact on the HR and hiring capability within a company. So I'm just going to tell you a story about a company that's gone through hypergrowth and some of the challenges that they've faced, and this will give some context around what we do as well. So Vince is one of my colleagues. He's on this session, but he actually coined this, and I think this is a good way of talking about this. But let me talk about a company that was founded in 2018 in Japan. It was a company that has a very niche solution and was always going to be predominantly sold by other companies as well. However, to run their organization, they need people in situ in country in the places that they are. And it was found to be that a solution that was successful in Japan could be repeated in many other countries around the world. So there was a requirement, there was a good, strong product market fit, but there was a requirement to set up legal establishment in every country that they wanted to do. So basically set on a 6-year journey of going through doing that. In that 6-year journey, they faced a lot of challenges within there. So how do I set up a legal provision in a country? How do I employ people? How do I make sure that I'm compliant? And the industry that they're actually in means that they need to drive compliance for their customers as well. And that information was not there on the fingertips. Now, fortunately, he was an individual who had his own network, and through his network, he actually opened up country by country, but he learned a lot of mistakes along the way. So such as the countries that require a long time to set up a bank account, although it's very quick to set up a legal entity, as opposed to the other end where it takes an inordinate amount of time to actually get through the red tape of setting up a legal entity versus a short amount of time setting up a bank account. In learning that just setting up a bank account for a new entity isn't the only thing that you need to do, it's how much you need to fund and place funds into that entity to get off and going as an operational entity and business unit as well. So they went on through that journey and today sit in 83 countries around the world. Now, the reason that a company like us exists is because we're able to help people go through that and then through the recruitment challenges that they had before. So as an organization, we grew up as being an employment of record organization. That means that we employ people on other organizations' behalf in countries where they don't have a legal presence. We can only do that compliantly. It doesn't work for all types of roles and individuals, and we can do the same for independent contractors too. But we can also help consult and advise on where an entity being established would be the right solution. We can help set up where a payroll would help as well, where accountancy services might be required, HR advisory. And where that kind of separates us from other organizations, it means that we've got multiple different solutions that can kind of be picked off an a la carte menu. The world of employment of record is seen by some organizations as being, and in some countries is a grey area of employment as well. So this is making sure that we take that grey away, make sure that companies can be compliant, they can invest into new companies fast, compliantly, to support that valuation and growth expeditiously in every territory that the investors and the C-suite need to move into. So the company that I spoke about that had that growth is our own. We have gone through that journey of setting up in 83 countries around the world. We know all the perils and pitfalls, and we have a very seasoned team that we've built up along the last 6 years, 7 years, to be able to impart that unbiased advice on what is the right way to grow. From the global chamber itself, it just means that what we're looking for is like-minded organizations that we can help either support your clients' growth, maybe working with other investment organizations where we can support the growth that the investors are looking for into their portfolio companies as well. So look, we welcome the opportunity to be part of the global chamber. We look forward to building out relationships with other member organizations. And we would just put ourselves into the mix that if you're considering international expansion, come talk to us. We'll be happy to have the conversation. If we don't know the right place, I'm sure that we can point you in the right direction. So, Cesar, hopefully we kind of tick the boxes in the remit there.
That's excellent, Stuart. Thank you very much. AI is definitely here to stay, and we were having our AI series event yesterday, and it's just every time we have that as a monthly way, and it's always every time we have that event is eye-opening. So it's definitely going to be the same with HR. Any questions or any comments from the members here today? And if not, Stuart, I see you share with us your team. You have a solid global team, and actually 2 of them are going to be participating in our Spanish call next week. Where I know, and we know you can probably help everywhere, but what are the best clients for you in terms of industry, in terms of location? Tell us a little bit more about it.
So from an EOR perspective, it has always been white collar workers. And it's typically been remote-based workers as well. With the move into the entity management side of things, that does mean that we can manage blue-collar workers, and this is where we'll steer towards the right solution for those companies to make sure they're compliantly employed. In terms of the sweet spot of companies, it will be anywhere from kind of a 200-person organization, probably to a 2,000-person organization that's experiencing growth and has a want and desire to start up in a new country. So they're the important triggers, is that we're looking for support and help in growing into our next country.
Awesome. Excellent. Vincent, do you want to introduce yourself for a minute as you're part of Go Global? And Stuart, you're in the UK, right?
I'm based in the UK. That's absolutely correct. And sorry, I'm just trying to find a stop share button so that you can all get back to look at each other again. There you go. Yeah. So Vince is based over in Geneva. It's if anybody wants to sing, it's Vince's birthday today. It's actually late in the day as well. He should really be with his family celebrating his birthday. So I don't know if it's a done thing on these sessions to sing happy birthday, but he'd appreciate it. No, it's all right,
happy birthday, Vincent. Hope you have a good time there.
So yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Vincent. It's indeed my birthday today, so we'll celebrate a bit later in the day. Kids are on their way back home from school. I'm based in Geneva. I'm originally from the northern part of France, close to Belgium. I've moved to this region about 20 years ago. I'm in charge of the business development at Go Global for Central Europe. You can reach out to me anytime. Through the Global Chamber. Happy to support what Stuart gave you as a description of our business is really what we are. We are a service company supported by AI, a bit of technology as well. But first of all, we're a service company. We're here to help organization in their global expansion journey. We have different solutions. Employer of record is what we spoke about a minute ago. But as you could see, there are plenty of other solutions available. And again, yeah, as we are a service advising company, we are here to find the right solution for our clients and your connections, whether they're professional or private. Feel free to share. Yeah, we love to get some business from people that we know, and we love to help people. That's what we are.
Excellent. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Stuart, and we invite you to stay here for the rest of the hour so we can learn from others as well. I would like to pass to Ben Faris from the ASU, from Arizona State University. Ben has a specific opportunity, mainly for US companies, but she can tell us a little bit more about what she's working out there with international students. Thank you, Ben. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ben Faris. I am the Associate Director for the Global Career Initiative at ASU. In other words, I work very closely with international students, the feelings when they come under F1 visa or J visa, and then they need to enroll in internship in United States, or if they like to do other opportunity out of United States. So can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna make it short, story to the point, which is here is why hiring ASU international students. We have over 17,000 international students from all around the world. So we need your help to support our students. They are very skills, STEM majors, very skilled in diversity. They very smart. All they need the opportunity to engage and practice what they learned from ASU. So the process very simple. Once they are students, they come under F1 visa or J visa. And for internship, they don't need they don't need sponsorship. This is the big word. I want to just share it with everyone. International student, when they apply for a job in United States under the curriculum practical training, which is the internship, just because they are under F1 visa, we call it CBT, but there is nothing you need to worry about. There is no cost of money. All you need to offer job offer to students, and student will take care of the rest as document with their department. And the other option, which is OBT, and the student under the STEM major can work up to 3 years. Same thing, there is no cost for the employers, and a student can work up to 3 years with United States companies. The paperwork very close, very easy, and all on the student side. And as you know, I'm sure you all familiar with, the new blood with, students when they got to their last year or they want to practice what they learn. So we need your help as helping us get involved. I'm here to help if you have any question how to hire and what is the process to hire international students. Believe me, they have a lot of energy, motivated. You will have the best of them. I really appreciate it. I will share the link. If you can fill out the form, and you can get my contact information. But if you fill out the form, that's only for me to have the information. That's your name and what company or what is your field, so we can touch base in the future if you need us. I will stop it here and share the link for the form. If you can fill it in, I really appreciate it. And any questions for me, I'm here now, or if anything come to you in the future. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Van. Philip, go ahead.
Yes. two quick questions. Can the students work remotely from their Phoenix apartments or whatever? And also, can they be part-time or must they be full-time?
Okay, are you talking about location in United States or out of United States?
Location in the United States.
United States. So I will talk in general. Summer CBT student can work in any other state. Doesn't have to be in Phoenix area. But for fall and spring, most of the time they work within Phoenix area and they work part-time for the fall and spring semester. But summer, it's open. They can work anywhere in any other state and it can be full-time. However, students need to check with their academic advisor to make sure that their program allow them to do. Maybe there is majors that allow the student to do the full-time out of the state during fall and spring semester. But students need to check with the academic advisor to make sure if the major allow them to do. The big thing, the work should be related to their study.
Can they work remotely or must they be in the employer's office?
So this is the program and the academic advisor work with the student to let us know that they can work, but most of the time, yes, they can under the approval from their department.
Okay, I'm asking because I've seen many other internship programs where the students must be in the employer's office, therefore they cannot work remotely and they must work full-time. That's why I'm
Maybe
asking.
it's a school, like each school have different policy. I always tell the student to go back to their department and make sure, like we at ASU, we have a couple of students work remotely as long as there is agreement.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Ben. Any other questions? I'm glad to hear that you're open to remotely. Going back to what Stuart was saying, it's just something we need to really be open-minded about. And Ben, are you also involved with opportunities like for students going abroad, or is that something like a different department, different person?
So we do have platforms. I know there's the Go Global, and also we use interest rate platforms, and that it's a platform created by Indian student. So all the jobs there, student can go and search if they want to work in the United States, they can find job, or there is, as you said, like a study abroad, which is they can go out of United States and study. Not study, I'm sorry, work.
Thanks. Harold, you have a question, go ahead.
We cannot hear you.
How are you?
My bad.
It's fine.
I was on mute. So first and foremost, Ben, you're doing an amazing work. And a lot of students contact me in the US, especially F1 students, and they're struggling for jobs. So I would request Cesar to get me connected with you on an email. And do you help such students to relocate or to get into once they graduated? Like, do you bridge the gap or help them?
We do we do a lot of work. Remember, ASU, it's a huge. So we're trying to educate the students to go to Handshake. We have a platform called Handshake, and that's when we need your help to post jobs through Handshake, so student can see the jobs opening in United States. And we work with the employers to let them know, like, hey, there is no cost, there's nothing. So we work with both of them. We help a student with their resume, cover letter. A lot of students have the experience, but they don't have excellent resume. So we do help them with their resume, trying our best. As you see, I'm here trying to, spread the word that if you need help, let us know. But through the Handshake platform, students check every day. They receive an email to let them know what the marketing have for them, what kind of jobs by major they can review and look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Before we move to the next presenter, Harold, do you want to introduce yourself for a minute? We haven't seen you in a while, so it would be great for the new members to learn about the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you, Cesar. Greeting, friends. My name is Harold D'Souza. I was out of country for almost 2 months, but I'm back in Cincinnati, Ohio. I run a non-profit organization called Eyes Open International, which is focused on prevention, education, protection, and empowerment of victims, survivors, and vulnerable populations worldwide. So we just started a branch in Kathmandu, Nepal. So I was in Nepal about a week back. That's all about me. Anyway, to cut the long story short, I am a survivor of labor trafficking and debt bondage in the United States of America. And today my passion in life is to be the voice for the voiceless victims. And that's the reason I was telling you, Ben, because a lot of students, they contact me. One student met me last night and is struggling because many times I've seen these F1 students end up being victims of labor trafficking. And you will be a big resource, and I would like to collaborate with you and each one of you. And thank you, Cesar, and thank you, Global Chambers, for empowering our vulnerable populations worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. And please make sure you put your contact info there in the chat. The same with you, Ben. Please share as much as possible. And if you can send me that the slides, we can share with the community as well.
Great.
Thank you. Now let's move on to Bernardita Calinao. Bernardita is a member in New York City who just renewed this week. So thank you, Bernardita. It's great to continue having you and working with you. From Walkspan, and she is all about walkability and urban planning, and she will give us an update on those trends, and of course tell us about her company. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you, and we
Yeah.
can see.
Can you see my slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I've been with Global for a few years, and it's been a really wonderful journey. And I think both through Global and other experiences, Walkspan has evolved quite a bit. Still a lot of challenges, but I will probably share with you all that today, and so I could get some guidance, maybe connections, and some other ideas. So anyway, I'm an environmental planner, and I started Walkspan in 2019. So we are a data and location intelligence technology firm focused on advancing walkability for sectors like real estate, travel, and health. And so what I'd like to do today is, as Cesar guided, is to share some trends and opportunities in the area of walkability, and then talk about Walkspan and the role we play in the industry that I will be mentioning and who we want to connect with. So in terms of trends and opportunities, there is a global demand for urban walkable neighborhoods. And this is seen especially in Europe and other countries, but in the US, for example, it is picking up. But a study last year by the National Association of Realtors said 78% of Americans are willing to pay more to move to walkable neighborhoods. And then the new generations, millennials and Gen Zs, prioritize walkable communities as the most important to them. And then there's a book about the new strategies for 21st century that talked about what projected annual revenue in residential sales could go up to $222 billion. And so, and the reason, because there is a premium, and very recent study, they said that for commercial properties, walkability has a premium sales of 48%. And for residences, it has a premium sales of 34%. This is actually new because like a year ago, residential was only 24%. So it's actually picking up. And so today there is really a huge shift to moving to more walkable cities having livable cities, making the transition into a very car-centric urban environment to more human-centric urban environment. And so the trend is that everything in life is somewhere else and you get there in a car, which is the American trend and everywhere. But now the huge trend is that you get there by walking. So the emphasis is on proximity, everything within your reach, because it has all this offered benefits. So in the Netherlands, these are just a few examples. They are taking trees in boxes to move to different cities in the Netherlands to make the urban environment more nature-filled and also very, very amenable for walking. In Barcelona, they block super blocks, they call them. They block several areas and keep people from enjoying their walks and very limiting the movement of cars. In New York City, they announced a chief of public realm, and they're really pushing toward opening streets more to walking. And then, of course, there's the famous 15-minute city in Paris where they actually received a very prestigious award for their concept of the 15-minute city, where you find everything within reach. So, but what is walkability? I mean, when you think of walkability, in a lot of literature, they focus on safety. It's safety here, safety there. It's like a lot, which is obviously the most important. But then when you think of walking for several reasons, it's also about being inspired by the presence of beauty or the celebration of nature and architecture, utility, the usefulness of the space, comfort, access, safety, free from injury, interest, things that are worth looking at, vibrance, the energy of space, legibility, the sense of place, and social equity. So the benefits both for the economy is increased foot traffic, which is actually, studies have shown better than more economic returns than car-driven areas, increased quality of life, and reduced carbon emissions, up to 50% in many cities in Europe. Now about Walkspan, so we are a data and technology, location intelligence technology firm dedicated to operationalizing urban walkability at a global scale. And this is not just for living, but also for working, walkability for commerce, healthcare, education, and entertainment. And what we measure are all these aspects. It's not, we don't measure just demography or crime, but aspects like beauty, utility, vibrance, access, legibility, and so on, things that are tangible, but also it's a very objective approach. It's not like what I think or what I feel, but what is there. So so in terms of our products and services, the majority of our effort is focused on neighborhood search, on the neighborhood search platform, because we can only do so much. We're a startup and all. But the more we work on our data, it almost seems like there's so many other possibilities. Just staying within our data set and our technology, we were able to see that it can be applicable for walkability maps. It can be applicable for routing. It can be, we can apply computer vision to advance the walkability. So it's more like a transition from the basic exercise of walking to AI, which is computer vision in our sense. So in this case, for example, about the relevance and usability, so we are focused on real estate, but for some reason we discovered that Google does not have a walking map, and Google does not have options for walking. So it occurred to us that maybe we should really explore this, and we've actually been in conversation with them, but Google is humongous, and so we don't know where this conversation will take us, but we're very excited about it because of the relevance and usability of our data. So for neighborhood search, I'll just give you a brief overview. So it works like real estate, and then it gives you a summary of what you find. within a 5-minute, 10-minute, and 20-minute walk, both for the neighborhood gem. So we count the food, the services, and all that. And for feel, we score the nature, the architecture within a 5, 10, 20 minutes. So this is what you will see, and this is what you will see within a 10-minute walk and a 20-minute walk. And then for nature, the solid lines, for example, tell you there are trees, and the dotted, there are no trees. And then it also allows you to compare properties like, okay, which one has more trees, if that's important to you, for example, or other choices are which one has is more quiet or is more vibrant. So we have those ability to view. So it's a good decision-making tool for place and for walkability. Now, for walking detail, Google has the current app, they don't have a walking map detail. So we added it to, this is just a simulation which we presented to them. You can add walking to the map detail that you have now. You can check your app and it's not there. So for example, now if you add a walking, you can choose, do you want to see a nature map or an architecture map? And this tells you, or a vibrant map. So it tells you where there's a lot of action happening or nothing is happening. So you don't want to walk where there's nothing happening, or a comfortable one because there's shading and seating and quiet, you know. So that's another opportunity. And the other one is also for Google. They only do direct route, like from point A to B, the short distance. But our data, the same thing we're using for real estate, can give you several options, which is, people always like options. And especially when, and this works for travel, where you don't know the neighborhood and all that, and you want to walk. And so, for example, this is a typical map you will see, but now you can choose not just a direct route, but nature, architecture, sociability. So here are all your options. And then you can click, I just want to go where there are more trees, or I want to go where there's better architecture or more vibrant. So these are options available. And so we want to advance this, especially because of its relevance and usability to current trends that is happening in the world. But I need help. We need help on like where to take it from here. So it's nice to have this global community to see, maybe, you know, we could start a conversation on getting funding and all that, and then gives you a summary also of your number of steps, the time and all that, carbon emissions you've saved. And so the role of Walkspan is really basically to operational. So we're not operational as walkability. It's not an ad hoc organization. We look at the data and use location dollars, which was not available then, and they are available now. So we take advantage. And in terms of who we want to connect with, real estate companies, they will be the main customers, but also travel companies, because they apply equally well, and also support for funding, if you know anybody who would like to help us with funding. So, and also some advice on what we're doing. Thank you so much.
This is awesome, Bernadette. And every time I talk to you, there's something new. And this time, you know,
Thank you.
the walk-in option for Google Maps. Hey, Jim, you have a question? Go ahead.
First of all, I love the goal. I live in Florida, and we have several cities with walkability. I can understand workplaces' policy on not having the ability to do a crime search. All the urban areas that you are in have those issues. So how are you offsetting that, number one? Number two, how are you offsetting, probably, well, for lack of a better term, government feeling they are losing property tax, either commercial or in from home? I'm done.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for your question. So safety is really very tricky, especially for real estate. They don't want to talk about it because it's something that steers people away. And so we've presented this to them, and we actually have a way of measuring it, but it's not in real time. There are other sources right now, very powerful sources that tell you real time issues on safety, but for real estate, we did a customer discovery survey, and the 5 things that we show are the ones that they want to present, and so we don't also show demography or crime. There are other sources for that. This is more about the gems and the experience of walking. And when it comes to government policy, I think that it would be wise for them to really come up with newer policies, for example, for zoning, and like converting public parking spaces into more walkable areas, and it's just to come up with policies to promote more human-centered space, because even in there, I've read articles that talk about the future of transportation, and the future of transportation is that there will be less car parking on parallel parking, because nobody would want to own cars. But I'm talking about major cities like New York City and Boston. So all these spaces that will be relieved from parallel parking can be converted into walking corridors or walking parks. Yeah, but yeah, the government has a lot of role in policy, especially for zoning, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Bernadita.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Bernadita, when you mentioned travel companies, can you specify a little bit more? So just for
Yeah. So for example, I mean, just specific one is Airbnb, for example, they only show the property. It's so you unless you pay, they will not show the neighborhood, and that's very challenging. But it could be hotels, but it could also be like Expedia, and or any like I forgot the other ones, Expedia, Travelocity, and all those are travel agencies. Yeah, that we can
perfect.
companies. Mhm.
Okay, sounds good. Any other question before we move forward? And if not, Bernadita, if you can share that presentation, that would be great. Well, we can.
Yeah,
we can,
sure. Yeah.
And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And so our last speaker,
just-
I invited Bill Edwards. Bill is always part of our League of Extraordinaries, which is the other meeting that we have, like a round table, like everyone gets introduced. And since we're looking towards 2025, I thought, Bill always brings something very interesting, and he only got like 2 minutes, so let's give him more.
Oh, sorry about that. But I can't even, I don't know how to remove my. Did I stop share?
Yes. Yeah.
I stopped share? Okay,
Yes. Yes.
I'm good then. Okay. I
Yeah,
hope I
you're good.
didn't talk too long. Sorry about that.
No, good. Thank you, Arnolina. So,
Yeah.
Bill, and I remember by the beginning of the year, you were talking about that 50 something percent of the population this year would have elections, and so now we're at the end of the year, and I bet that most of those already got elections going. So it would be great to get an update from you. How you see things and trends, generally speaking, but also focusing on trade and international business. So welcome, Bill. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Cesar. I appreciate being asked. My business is taking companies into new countries, and I've taken over 40 more companies, taken close to 50 companies across 12 business sections into over 35 countries. And we realized early this year that there was something strange going on in the world. And I'm going to share a slide with you, hopefully. And you'll see that the strange thing happening is 71 national elections. It's grown, Cesar, over the year from 50 at the start to 71. And elections have consequences. Everybody understands that, no matter where you're from. And the morning after November 5th, I got a huge amount of calls from my clients and lots of other people saying, what is going on in the world with the change due to the US election? You can see here that there's quite a diversity of countries. Some are very important as far as the impact they have on business, because that's all I look for when I'm trying to take a company into a country. I want to know what they're going to encounter, regulations, taxes, structure, politics, economics, situation. Just quickly, the red countries are what we call shams. There weren't really an election. They said they were an election, but I think that Putin only got 94% this year. Usually he gets 99, so that we call that a sham. But there are some really substantial countries here, elections that'll have a big impact on business. And frankly, after the U.S. election is the biggest one and the biggest impact, I'm afraid. Global markets are preparing for what promises to be literally a seismic shift in international trade. The reshaping of global economic order from the U.S., and that's a fact. We're going to see the imposition of tariffs across the board. We're going to see targeting of China in many ways. And we're going to see something that you might not have thought about, but it's going to impact all of you. And that is that there will be reimposed sanctions on Iran that will slash its daily oil production from about 4 million barrels a day to about 500,000. Now, what does that impact you? It impacts the price of oil. China's been buying most of that oil at a 40% discount, and it's going away because the U.S. can stop it. I'm not making a value judgment, by the way, and nothing I'm saying is political, okay? I'm talking about the impact on business, doing business. These moves that we're seeing now are going to force a wholesale reconfiguration of supply chain. Companies are increasingly trying to insulate themselves from what they call geopolitical volatility, and as I said, the 71 countries represent about 49% of the world's population, 55% of the world's GDP. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means this year there were changes in all these countries. And the Financial Times said last week that, and I'm going to quote this, most ruling parties have lost share of control, suggesting a global pivot towards economic nationalism. Now, what does that mean? Well, for businesses, it could mean a lot. It means that you're going to have to look at how regulations are. Elections have consequences. Taxes can go up and down. Regulations can go up and down. The ability to get hard currency out of a country can go away. Trust me, that's going to happen in some of these countries. And if you're trying to get paid, that's a problem. So the bottom line is that the true measure of success going forward in 25, under the new administrations you see here, especially ours, unfortunately, or fortunately, will be how well businesses can adapt to this marketplace. You need to do research to figure out what it means economically and politically to do business in these countries after these elections. And so that's basically my 2 cents worth, or maybe 5 cents worth, Cesar, or 4 euros. Elections have consequences. And if you're going to do business around the world, you need to think about where you're going and whether there have been changes in the political and economic structure. Thanks.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Great. Bill, that was illuminating. A question, when you help companies go into other countries, are you primarily doing that, what I would call organic, meaning the existing company sets up new operations in the new company? That would be organic. The other would be through like partnership or acquisitions. Do you have how do you view that, and where do you play in that?
Well, thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate that question. I'll have to pay you for that question, for asking that one. We started as only focused on licensing, bringing franchise systems into other countries. And now we look at distributorships. We look at not so much direct investment. I'm not a big believer in owning assets in another country, but we do look at joint ventures and partnerships, but primarily licensing a business to start up in another country or distributorships. But no matter what you're doing, you're going to be impacted by the regulations of doing business, especially for foreign companies. There are some countries in the world that don't really want foreign companies coming in and competing against their own countries So it's just a matter of really knowing what you're up against. It doesn't mean you don't go into countries, although there's certain countries on this list I would suggest not trying to make money in. But I'll leave it at that. I don't want to be editorializing here.
Yeah, no sweats. I appreciate the business, not political. I was really pleased that I saw the letters E, G, and S, and they were in that order instead of E, S, and G, which
that's Edwards Global Services, Bill.
Yeah, I understand.
ESG.
It was a weak attempt at humor. The question I had, the follow-up question was, given the economic nationalism led as much in the United States as kind of anywhere.
Yep.
Does that change the calculus in terms of owning assets?
In other countries?
Right.
I'm not an expert on that, but my feeling on it, based on what we know, is that it will change in some countries and not in others.
Yeah.
The real key is to find out what the consequences have been, because when a new government comes in, they want to change things, right? Because they want to show they're new and different. And so very often what they do is change the regulations, or they change the taxes. And by the way, an interesting one is the UK. The UK went from a conservative government, supposedly pro-business, to a Labour government. But in fact, it's not going to really be damaging too much to doing business, but you need to know what the things are that are happening. Some countries on this list that are in red are seeing big changes. And mainly that means, Bill, making it more difficult for a foreign company to make money.
Yeah, right. For the moment, thank you very much. Just very illuminating. And Cesar, you've been great at connecting me with folks. If you wouldn't mind, like you've done with some other folks, connecting me with Bill,
sure.
I'd really appreciate the email introduction. And sorry to be stealing so much airtime.
No, Bill.
My contact information is in this chat, by the way.
Bill Fudge, can you introduce yourself for half a minute? Another renewing member this week, so it will be great for everyone to learn from you.
Geez, I'm thinking it'll be like speaking with my wife. She never ends. I mean, I love her passionately, but she's always ready for me to be quiet. And it's like, so you're like, just like you're not going to be popular with this group. Think of three things that I get involved in. One is research-based tools to help companies improve their results. And there's words and music around that. We call it economic engagement. Two is something called rewarding roll-ups, where we're taking those tools, but many of you may be familiar with how private equity firms do industry roll-ups. And that tends to be a really good way for them to, by and large, legally extract wealth. And they extract a lot. The rewarding roll-up is replacing the PE, so the wealth stays with the owners and the employees. Okay, but the roll-up phenomenon, there's very different things, but that's, and then there's a third category that we're triple top secret about, but I'll tell about that another time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bill.
A pleasure. And by the way, I want to really publicly thank Cesar. Has been incredible. If you don't know Cesar then you're really missing out. So thank you very much, Cesar, for all the things you've done for me. It's invaluable.
My pleasure, Bill. Thank you. And going back to Bill Edwards, any other questions, Bill, or Bill, any other? Bill, well, tell us a little bit more about who you would like to meet, in particularly in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we're really interested in meeting companies who are either global or going global or thinking about it, or ones who are having challenges figuring out where they should go with their company. Because really what you want to do is look at a range of parameters that'll tell you what the countries are with the highest potential return on investment for your particular product or service. We're working with a a special coating company right now in Southern California that's tried going international and hadn't figured out where they could compete with their product. And so the key is to do competitive analysis and find out who they're going to be up against and whether their country can afford them. So we're really good at doing that sort of thing. Thank you, Cesar. I can't upload the file, unfortunately. It won't let me upload a file from my computer, so I'll send it to you, Cesar.
Yes, please. And we'll be sharing. I don't know if you put it in the chat, but we'll be sharing about your newsletter as well in the follow-up.
It's in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So before I go to Doug for final words, I will ask Jem in our team to share her screen just to show you upcoming events next week. It's Thanksgiving in the US, but still going to be busy. Thank you, Jem. We're starting on Monday with the opportunities in Saudi Arabia. There you go. So we will have Adel Alawadi. He is part of our Dubai chapter, but they're doing business in the Saudi, and they're actually, we are collaborating with them. So they're running the event. So you're more than welcome if interested into the country. And so Jem, what other ones we have? Well, the Spanish one that I run. So anyone speaking Spanish or interested in practicing or learning more about the region, I'm gonna have two ladies from Go Global that Stuart introduced us this week, and then two more members, one from Puerto Rico and the other one from Argentina. Thank you, Jem. Next. And we'll have, this is more of a regional with the Dallas chapter in partnership with Dallas colleges about the food insecurity crisis that that some students are having in the US. Next. And then Thanksgiving, we canceled I would say we changed our global dining event for a Thanksgiving event on Wednesday. And even though we know it's only Thanksgiving in the US, we know that many countries and cultures, they celebrate at some point in the year with their traditions. So you're more than welcome to join us and talk about a little bit about those traditions, food, and of course to give thanks. And I think we have the we have the Women Online Networking as well on Wednesday. And there's a monthly one. Bernardita, Ben, I don't know if you've been part of it. And so more than welcome to join. Dr. Pauline Crawford, she's amazing. She's going to be running it this time. And the League of Extraordinaries on Friday. So last League of event of the month, and you're more than welcome to join us. It's a round table where everyone gets to speak and gets to introduce themselves for a couple of minutes. Thank you, Jem. And we're gonna put the link of the calendar in the chat just for you to review as well. Doug, are you there?
I am. That special Black Friday League of Extraordinaries is members only. So if you're around on Friday, join us. And the Thanksgiving one, we've done that one in the past. It's been fun to hear the different traditions from around the world. And I'll finally say two things. One is the event on Monday, if you're doing work in the Middle East and you're interested in doing more, I think is going to be really interesting. There's already over 100 people signed up, so we don't know how many will appear, but it's going to be well attended. Adel Alwadi is amazing. His younger brother, Ayman, is based largely in Riyadh, and they have activities for Global Chamber there. And so definitely join and hear more about what's going on and tap into that opportunity. And then the second and final point was, we're way more than events. Even though we reduce over 600 events a year, those are important, and it's important to jump in from time to time. However, as Bill kind of pointed out, that you can always reach Cesar. You can always reach me. You can always reach our team. And as we're growing our team around the world, and 2025 is our 10th year, and our goal is to be fully built out in all 525 chapters by the end of next year, then our focus is continuing to be giving you the connections that you need. So understanding who you want to meet, reacting to opportunities, but proactively giving you opportunities as well. And you always have the opportunity to say, hey, I'd like to meet this person. We could say, hey, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. And very often during the week, there are multiple times when Cesar and I are talking through, like, how do we do this one? And what about that? Or actually, there was one, somebody wants to meet a big company, and they've not been really forthcoming on a lot of things. And I'm trying to think, and I even told her, I said, I think we can introduce you, but I just feel like they're so overwhelmed with everything right now. They're in the semiconductor industry that they're just not reacting. And so let's figure out a way to react in a positive way. So we're always trying to figure that out, not just to have the warm introduction, but figure out how to get a conversation and then figure out a way to get the business. That's what we do. And Bank of America is a great example of that, where they can talk to anybody they want to, but we're able to maneuver with them to be able to make it a professional process that results in not just a conversation, but a client. And it doesn't always work, but we're certainly sincerely working at it. Have a great rest of your Friday, whatever's left, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.